A message to all you children. Please try this at home. You heard the lady, kids. You always want to listen when an adult tells you to do something. And if it's a lady, we should always respect what a woman tells us to do. You have to make sure that you soak in every bit of knowledge, every single word that a woman tells you to do. So if this particular woman tells you to go to Mrs. Johnson's house and see a pie cooling on the windowsill, and you decide, I'm going to take that pie and try it at home, that's what you need to try at home. Or perhaps Mr. Wilson has a newspaper that he just doesn't want to goddamn read, so you take it off of his porch, you bring it home, and then you wonder why in the world it is not turning the page on its own, because you children are so goddamn used to technology. And what the hell's wrong with you kids? Have you never picked up a newspaper? Do you not know what a newspaper is? Leave me alone. Get the hell off my goddamn lawn. Hey everybody, an old man's talking. But children, you want to make sure that you practice and try as you might, and make sure that you get so goddamn good at trying all this that you saw on the television screen, that maybe you will be lucky enough one day to join the children on the roster of this particular wrestling promotion. And maybe you will be lucky to achieve the highest of statuses. Just below Tony Khan, you will achieve EVP status, like a couple of counterfeit bucks. Or maybe if you can't quite reach that because you're just not very good and a vanilla string bean that has a bowl of oatmeal spilled over your goddamn head, maybe you can be in the main event of a particular wrestling program like this one, like somebody that, for whatever goddamn reason, they decide to keep featuring children. But don't worry, kids. He can be just like Wheeler goddamn Yuta. Tony Khan has just thrown it all a goddamn way, and I don't understand what the hell he is doing. Thanks, guys. I'm Charles Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah, it's going to be one of those videos. Look, after the end of Dynasty, and you can try and spin it however you want. If you liked it, fine. I hated the end of that. It's not going to end up coming to, any kind of boil that's going to actually end up, well, actually, it is going to come to a boil. It's like a boil on your goddamn back or your backside. Speaking of which, the Bucks show up in a little bit. Look, I will say the crowd was pretty loud. They had about 3,400 people according to WrestleTix. Those were tickets distributed, but the building only holds up to 5,500 for concerts. That's not the worst thing. I'm going to say right now that AEW is apparently coming back, shockingly, out of nowhere, Cinderella story, for two shows, June 21st and June 25th, for Collision and Dynamite in Kent. For those that are Washingtonians, you may know that is going to be a tough sell. They're at the ShoWare Center, and I am waiting to see if, a friend of mine wants to actually go. Because these might be shows that I end up skipping. For a few reasons. One, Kent is not a very good city. Also, two, it would be like almost a 4-hour round trip with traffic and just driving in general from where I am. So I'm going to maybe see about the tickets, but I may not end up going. Because I'm really kind of, quite frankly, just about done reviewing AEW Weekly. It is getting really, really dire. There are good things, there are things I liked on this show, but god damn it. So, the fallout from Dynasty. Tony has some explaining to do, especially about keeping Excalibur on commentary. Shivani is just there, Taz on commentary. Let's hear from the Death Riders. I don't want to hear from the Death Riders. I don't want to hear anything from them. This is the worst main event angle they've ever had. Period. This is the absolute pinnacle of bullshit. They should know better by now. Jon Moxley took on Shibata with his new brain, and Shibata no-sold a pile driver and then got choked out soon after. I will give them credit that they tried to have a show-long narrative of this tying into stuff that happened at the end. The problem is it involves the goddamn Death Riders. So the Bucks show up. It was a peace offering. I did not listen to a lot of this. Why am I going to listen to anything that Matt and Nick say? At this point in 2025, nobody wants to listen to them. I don't even think the diehard Buck fans want to hear what they have to say because they can't move, they're disingenuous, and they are not benefiting this company at all, behind the scenes or on camera. And Hangman is still their friend. Here's Omega to a pop. Now look, Omega, coming back from diverticulitis, I am thrilled that Omega is back, and I'm glad that he, is one, still over, and two, getting to do what he loves to do. He's way too low-key, but he forgave them, but he wanted to restore that feeling. And then and I don't know what this promo was. This just descended into absolute madness. He talked about a friend with two Shih Tzus They kept taking a dookie on the floor, and then eventually that dookie kept piling up to the point where it smelled and fermented. And hey, buddy, or hey, pal, how about we go over to my house to play more video games? Yes, he's referring to the fact that the Bucks are basically two dogs shitting on a goddamn thing, and they are. Really? This kept going. He's like, I could have kept going, but I'm just going to come in and fight you. Which he could have done without going into this story. I just, Jesus. Here's Okada. And then Swerve music, and we get a chair involved with Swerve, and Nana's there also. And I'd put Nana, 2-1 against the Bucks. I think he could take them. I get what they were trying to go for, but I'm sorry, nobody in this segment should have been talking at all, and that opening match was terrible. Shibata is what he is. Moxley is the worst main event talent that they've had in a while, and this is the worst main event run they've had. Yes, for a number of years, he was very over and carrying the company. I'm not going to take that away from him. There are people that say he's the worst main event talent of the last 5 years. You can have that opinion, but that's wrong. I mean, honestly, that's pretty goddamn wrong. He was doing a lot of good shit until really around the Punk stuff, but especially this Death Rider stuff. And Swerve says it's buck hunting season, and then Pac attacks Swerve. And back from the break, they had a match. It didn't last very long because we got a bad buckle bomb. Pac's ankle folded. He took some time to get checked on by the doctor, and Swerve hit a stomp. I hope that Pac is okay, and maybe it was just a sprain. He'll be okay in a few weeks. Despite how I feel about the Death Riders, I hope he's going to be okay, but god damn it. That's unfortunate. So I hope he's not going to be out too long. Spring breakthrough next week, Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe I'll watch both. I don't know. Hangman is pissed. He tries to talk to Swerve, but Nana's there, and he says, I wasn't trying to help Swerve. And Nana tries to apologize for his actions. He's like, I don't want to hear from you. We're getting the unlikely tag team thing here, folks. I don't know if they're hitting you over the head enough. Ricochet, Leo Rush, Action Andretti, and the Meat Mortos took on Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight, Mark Briscoe, and Nerf Ball Mike Bailey, who is wearing Chrono Trigger-like tights, and that's fitting because he's about as fearsome as the frog in that goddamn thing. A $400,000 explosive 8-man tag team match. Ospreay is over. Referee Rick Knox was the referee, so they might as well just not had anybody there. And Meep got pinned by Will in 12 minutes. You really think I was going to analyze this? It is getting to the point where things are getting so frustrating because they will just throw shit together. Will and Ricochet having a feud? Okay, I'm all for it. Will's got to win the Owen. They have to have Will. Maybe Will against Fletcher, maybe Will against Takeshita. I don't know, but they got to have Will win the Owen and beat Moxley at All In. They got to do something. If they have Will lose there, then it's actually going to end up damaging him and their main event scene more than they already have. It is getting ludicrous. This Death Rider stuff is terrible. And if they try to hold off until Darby comes back, if Darby comes back, by the way, from Everest, which I don't think he's going to make it very far. I think he's going to have to turn around. There's nothing wrong with that. Seasoned climbers that prepare for years and years and years aren't able to scale Everest. There are bodies strewn all over the goddamn... I'm sorry, if they try to wait for Darby to come back, say Darby does, what do? Go to Wrestle Dream and have him win in Washington State? Good luck drawing a crowd for that, especially after the end of last year's Wrestle Dream. Shivani then basically cuts a promo on Dax and says, your daughter wouldn't be very happy. So now we're going to have Dax and Cash basically hit the shatter machine on Tony. That ought to be hilarious. The Hurt Syndicate show up and they hurt people. MJF music before they can toast with the booze. And he's here to celebrate. He didn't want to be in the Owen and wrestle a whole bunch. Lashley is about to burst out of that suit like the goddamn Hulk and kill him. And MVP tries to play Peacemaker. And the idea is 3 thumbs up is what they need. Okay, so Siskel, Ebert, and Roper is basically what we're doing. Bless Gene Siskel. And MVP does thumbs up. Shelton does this and then looks at Lashley and says, to hell with it. And does that. And So that does. I actually thought maybe he might have gone thumbs up a little bit, and then we would have gotten Lashley doing thumbs down, but then it sort of makes sense for what they do a little bit later on. And Renee is there with Megan and Penelope. I don't know why Penelope decided to wear her sleep clothes for this. That was a choice. Megan's headdress also was getting so big that it's going to be hard for her to get that through customs. Megan will make everybody bow down. There are people who would pay good money for that, I imagine. Okay, why are Megan and Penelope a team? I mean, no offense against Penelope. I'm sure she's nice, but this has not benefited anybody. Storm comes out to a pop. Tony Storm, that is. And Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander took on each other in an Owen Hart women's quarterfinal match. I love Thunder Rosa. What a talent. Statlander is very, very good as well. Women's wrestling is alive and well. Signed. Thunder Rosa held that up. Both can work. Storm was picking on Shivani, which still sounds repetitive, but if Statlander and I were a team, it would be Thunder Thighs. If I teamed up with Shivani, it would just be tits. I don't know why that was funny. There was a drop kick in the ropes. There were parts where they were countering each other well, and then there were parts where it's like it was a little bit awkward. Like Statlander dropped down, and Rosa hadn't even bounced off the. It's fine. Tony refers to her big package. Message, all you children, please try this at home. We can't endorse that. There is a Shining Wizard by Rosa for 2. And soon after, Statlander hits the Saturday Night Fever, whatever the hell she calls it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm all for Statlander getting a push. I just wish that they would realize, Rosa is actually really good and could do stuff too. She came back from her back injury, and they basically have nullified her. And it's baffling to me. I just don't understand it. She's so infrequently used. Callison says Brody King is next. He's facing off against Takeshi on Collision. Cole Strong and O'Reilly are now known as the Paragon. Somebody save these guys from themselves. The Learning Tree. Jericho is going home. That's good. He smashes the TV. Whatever. I guess trying to do a callback to when he smashed Michaels' face into the TV of the highlight reel. And then somebody tells him to go suck a maple leaf. Honestly, if Jericho is off television for a while, I am all for this. If he's off television for good, because realistically, he has not been beneficial to any feud and any wrestler for a few years. It has not worked. And if his contract is still valid for a good while, Tony can just pay him for a year plus. Just pay him to sit at home. I'm sorry, just pay him to sit at home. And maybe if that 10-year contract is not actually true and his contract is up soon, then good. Get rid of him. Just let him go. So, Alicia Atute, I'm sorry, so sorry. She talks to the Hurt Syndicate, and we don't need MJF, Lashley says. And then MJF calls her a certain word that I cannot repeat. That's his woman, by the way, his significant other. I assume they're at least together. I assume maybe they're engaged. I don't know. It's not my week to watch them. And MJF's like, do they know who I am? That's the problem, Max. MVP says they know exactly who you are. And we got to kind of earn their trust, this kind of stuff and whatever. And then Joe and Hook took on Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli. Remember when Claudio actually was featured well and Joe meant something? This is your main event. Mox showed up. He got choked out by Shibata, who made his appearance. His new brain was put back in. Yuta tapped out to Hook. Unfortunately, Yuta got back up. And look, I said what I needed to say about Yuta at Dynasty. The fact that they keep trying with this guy and it is not working, it's embarrassing. It is fucking embarrassing to watch. This is really, really bad television. I mean, there's nothing stylistically wrong with a lot of these matches besides the fact that Death Rider stuff is bullshit. But this just really felt like a show where the stuff with, they were trying to explain the stuff with the Bucks. None of it mattered. The Omega promo went on forever. There were elements that could have worked, but when the highlight was the women's match and Tony Storm's commentary, yeah, Joe wants to fight. And they're coming after the trios titles, so I assume that Pac will be okay. I know I won't be okay if I watch much more of this shit, so yeah, I may not end up going to Collision and Dynamite. in Kent because of a right. Look on a Washington state map, Western Washington, and look at that, and study up on Kent. You won't have to try hard to see why nobody wants to go there. Nevertheless, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Renthlan. I'll see you soon.